I'm back! Yeah, check out the new digs. I actually just moved. Today's the first full day that I actually have internet, so I thought I would swing you by with a video because I've been planning to do this. This video was actually interpreted from a Patreon post that I did last week. Was it last week? Yeah, it had to have been last week. I did it last week, and it was on my final predictions for Smash Bros. Ultimate roster. These are the last ones I'm going to throw out. I'm not going to make some super long video like I did back in April on my predictions, because that was just not confounded. Now that I have an idea of how Sakurai is designing the roster, he's designing the game, and his kind of everything is here mentality, it kind of reshaped how I would think about this game. So I had to throw away all my prior notions. What I previously thought was he was going to design this game like Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS, with different characters having unique gimmicks that make them their own. For example, Wii Fit Trainer with the yoga moves, Rosalina and Luma with the Luma mechanic, Little Mac with the powerful grounded moves with no aerial moves, Mega Man with all his different things from different games. You can take a look at a lot of the newcomers and compare them to like veterans, and it'll become very noticeable that the different design values kind of choose how these characters are designed, you know, it's how they're made. So with that said, I have a new list of characters that I did not think would ever be in Smash, but because there's this everything is here mentality, and this is true with stages, modes, music, there's just everything. And from the inclusions that we've recently got, such as Ridley being a longtime fan, K. Rool being a very unlikely, now retro representative from a DK game that is not even fully owned by Nintendo, being finally represented iconically in Smash. It's mind-blowing. And then Simon Belmont, an NES original character that you could argue was one of the last, like, original Nintendo characters that was not technically owned by Nintendo. Because they're kind of just breaking the mold on that and being like, yeah, even if it wasn't owned by us, we're just gonna get the character anyways. Now, like, anyone is possible, so that is why I think a lot of the rules that we used to have doesn't matter, and that's why I'm going to base this roster prediction on a lot of talk and conversation I've had with people with like-minded people. If you remember Mimikyu, I was invited to a server he has, and I was talking with a lot of people in that server about my final predictions and what their predictions were, and I based kind of a lot of my choices on, one, Mimikyu's predictions because they make sense, and two, conclusions I made about how this game is going to be made. So first and foremost, let's talk about the theming of this game. We know that this game has sort of a theming to villains, and I was hesitant to say that with that K. Rool trailer, but as I'm piecing things together, it could be that the villain theme is more prevalent than we know. Perhaps that's why the story mode has not been introduced. The reason why I think it's pretty powerful is because, picture this. You have characters in Smash Bros, and that little trailer before the K. Rool trailer kind of gave us kind of an inside look at, like, you know, now that all these characters have their natural evils, their natural, like, plots, like Mario fights Bowser, DK fights K. Rool, now that you have these natural dichotomies between good and bad, it kind of creates a natural narrative between them that you can just plug in anywhere. Event matches in Smash Brothers have often had this, where you just throw two characters against one another, it has a title and description, and that's all you really need to contextualize the situation. Imagine event matches, however, in a story mode setting where you walk through a map and you have to do a fight, though it's not structured in menu format and rather you have to walk around to find it. That is kind of what I believe the story mode is going to emulate. Of course, my working theory is that it's going to be like Great Cave Offensive or the Great Maze from Subspace Emissary, in which you run around a constructed maze and you run through different paths that when you finish you go back to the start and it's like, oh, I unlocked a new path, like Banjo Kazooie maybe, you unlock a certain path that way, I don't know. And you work through those maps and you get through it like a race to the finish, and that's how you unlock different characters. Though, it would be like, let's say, the Mario world. You start off with Mario and Luigi because they were the only original ones in Smash 64. You go through a Mushroom Kingdom level, you fight characters like Wario, then you fight all of the Koopalings in succession, then you fight Bowser Jr., finaling off with the boss fight against Bowser. After you complete that, you unlock all the Mario series characters and maybe a small little story mode chunk, a couple of levels, maybe the length of adventure mode. It's really, I don't know how they would do it, but that's how I imagine it would make sense. And the thing with that is you can reuse assets for levels, you can reuse characters because they're already there, and it kind of creates an already sort of narrative there that makes sense. But overall, it would be a way for you to play through the level that would make sense, then you can switch characters and fight certain characters It would be fun, and it would be a way to utilize the characters in a way that would make sense. So, my roster predictions are based off of what the villains could be, and how they would fit into a story mode, and how they would fit to best represent their franchises. Now, starting off, we have a character that's been requested all the way back since Melee, Geno. D1, I did not think I would be saying this last year, but Geno, I think, is a lock. I think Geno is a lock on this roster because we have been getting characters like K-Rool, who have been locked behind doors of Rare owning K-Rool, which we'll go into another prediction that kind of is based off that as well. If K-Rool could happen, that opens the door to a lot of other characters, such as Geno. The way I think Sakurai's designing this game is that he's looking at past Smash Brothers and he's like, well, that couldn't happen maybe like 10 years ago, but now I have the power to do anything. I know everybody in the industry. I can be like, hey, I'll buy you a coffee if you let me have Geno in Smash. And boom, Geno's in Smash. And I believe Geno is strongly riding on the fan popularity that he's amassed over literally a decade or two. It's kind of messed up that he's been out since the SNES. Super Mario RPG was owned by Square and made by Square as a Mario RPG game. Fun game, but obviously the rights of Mallow and Geno, those characters are not owned by Nintendo outright, so to get them in other games was kind of just like, oh look, we made an appearance somewhere, but they can never really do anything with them. But now, I think it's the time, because we saw that the Mii Fighter costume in Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS, Geno was there. He was fit as a fiddle. Now with Geno there, and also using the fact that K-Rool used his Mii Fighter's costumes design where it had some parts of the old design and the new design and mixed together that was actually we see in his render, and you know what I mean, I've said it before. But I think this is the time for Geno. One, for the mass population of people that want him, and two, Sakurai's like, I have wanted him in the past, I recognize that people want him, and now's the time because everyone is here. Two, I'll make it quick, Skull Kid. I've already explained a lot of the proofs for why I think he might be the next announced character in a previous video. You see the cards at the top? You see, that's a interesting feature, and I don't know if it's really good because it's going to click you away from what I'm saying, but it's there. Keep it in your mind if you haven't watched it. It'll probably be on the side too because that's how YouTube works, but Skull Kid, I believe, has a very solid chance. In short, a lot of the Zelda characters have been redesigned as Smash Bros, and it kind of gives it away once you think about it. For example, Young Link coming back, everyone is here, obviously, but he retains his Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask design. Link has his Breath of the Wild design, Zelda has her Link Between Worlds design, Ganondorf has his Ocarina of Time, and then Toon Link, obviously. All of them represent different parts of Zelda's very wide lore, from different games, from different timelines, and that correctly, in my opinion, represents Zelda instead of them doing the Brawl thing where they're all from one game, even if Sheik wasn't. So, I think that is why we're seeing this. Like, Skull Kid or Majora's Mask, they were the villain, again going with the villain theme of that game as a playful trickster, and to see them in Smash would represent one of Zelda's most popular 3D titles, and one that is not represented in Smash so far, so that is my reasoning behind that. Okay, so you remember when I said, especially those stupid people who want Bandana Waddle, like, what's this character? Yeah, so I said that because a fan in my Patreon server, or a fan in general, they love Bandana Waddle. We have a Kirby channel that they post in, they literally just post consistently, and it hasn't stopped for months, of Kirby-related images, and all they want out of life is Bandana Waddle in Smash Bros. And though I'm not particularly supportive of the idea, Bandana Waddle has been requested since, I believe, Brawl. After Day-to-Day, it was like, yeah, no, the only other one that would really fit is this one. He's been playable in 4-player Kirby games, he's always kind of on the box art, he's often there, often a very recognizable character, often part of the story, so sure, have your Spear Fighter. He is a unique fighting addition to the Smash Brash, and I am not going to call him trash. Also on the polls, did I mention the polls? He's kind of popular on fan polls that done by Source Gaming, my friends. Push Dustin, you know, he's popular. So, Isabelle has been talk of the town, been in some rumors and leaks, allegedly. I don't really keep up. But I don't think Isabelle's going to be an Echo Fighter. I think she's going to be an original Animal Crossing fighter. Villager represents the first Animal Crossing game, while New Leaf being a highly popular 3DS title played by... wow. Those are numbers. Those are numbers. So it's pretty obvious Isabelle has been recognized. She was even used as kind of the spokesperson for Animal Crossing a lot of the time, and is often seen as sort of B mascot, arguably. So seeing her in Smash Bros, although she's not very violent, obviously, I think she could be an original fighter, using maybe more playful, clumsy moves, using stuff from Happy Home Designer, using things from New Leaf, for example, to make her moveset unique compared to Villager, because Villager has a lot of stuff from Animal Crossing, but nearly not even close to everything that you can do. So perhaps we'll see Isabelle do something that represents a different side of Animal Crossing. That's my suggestion. Okay. This is going to be, if I'm right, I think if I'm right on this, this is the point where I realize that me and Sakurai are on the same wavelength, and I understand the man better than I understand myself. Tails. Not an Echo Fighter, his own character. Before you click off and get mad, hear me out, okay? Tails has been a Sonic character. He's been as iconic as Sonic, you could argue, being in every game Sonic is in. When you have all of these other garbage Sonic characters proliferating Sonic games for years, Tails has always been the one that's there, that is just iconically the annoying whiny baby, but he's always consistent, you know? He's always there. Tails being in Smash Brothers would not be out of the realm of possibility. We have Knuckles, the third most iconic character, you could say. Actually, maybe fourth after Eggman. You could say that Knuckles is a popular choice, but he was been delegated to an assist trophy. Tails and Shadow, not seen at all. People are kind of pointing to Shadow being a Sonic exclusive Echo Fighter, but what if we had a character that was based off of Sonic's model and skeleton, because that's how they originally were in the first place. It's very similar looking, except he had unique moves utilizing the tails. Sure, he could utilize the spin dash and similar attacks that Sonic has, as he would, but what if he did more? Represents the flying. He has his own flying mechanic that is heavily similar to how it controls in the Sonic games. Why I'm saying this is it kind of points to another theory I have. I wanted to keep Echo Fighters separate for this part of the video, but we'll break the rule for this one. Shadow, a very popular choice for an Echo Fighter. Almost everybody is calling Shadow at this point after we saw Dark Samus and Chrom. So, Shadow is what I believe to be the Echo Fighter. So at this point, you'll have Sonic, Tails, Knuckles as the assist trophy, Shadow, and then, where I believe we're going to see Eggman is a boss in the story mode. Remember what I said about Mario, the series, where you run through the Mario world and you fight different characters from there? I believe you'll do a similar thing for Sonic. Sonic, I believe, is very likely to have 3 reps because it is basically a Nintendo-owned IP at this point, with how much they're on Nintendo platforms and how they operate on Nintendo platforms. Sonic, no one sees Sonic as like the enemy anymore. It's like, yeah, yo, if you're lucky enough to get, Sega would just be like, yeah, sure, put all our characters in if you want. Like, I think Sakurai has the power here to do what he wants. So it's why I believe that Sonic was going to have representation more than you would think, or of a third party. He's basically a Nintendo character, which is why I think he's more than likely going to have 3 reps. And I believe the second one's going to be Tails, the third's going to be Shadow, and the story mode trailer is going to be Sonic fighting Eggman, and then boom, out of nowhere we see Shadow. It's like, oh, an Echo Fighter, oh, he's fighting Sonic, oh, I didn't see this coming. And then it's like, oh, Sonic, I can't do it. And then out of nowhere, Tails grabs Sonic from falling, and it's like, dun dun dun, Tails is here to fight along Sonic's side, and then you see Tails fighting, and yeah, it's gonna be a great trailer. So, okay, remember when I said K. Rool is like, you know, okay, Rare owned that asshole, so that opens up door to other characters that could be available, and what other characters could it be other than Banjo Kazooie? Rare has expressed, sorry, Microsoft has presented interest in Banjo Kazooie being included in Smash Brothers. This is why I think Sakurai holds all the power. Nintendo kind of has the power play this console generation, being on the Switch, being Smash Brothers, being as iconic as it is. If your character you get in Smash, you know, that is the ultimate honor, I think, because it's just a celebration of almost gaming at this point. Banjo Kazooie, if Simon Belmont was the last NES character that wasn't owned by Nintendo but may as well have been owned by Nintendo, similar to Mega Man, Banjo Kazooie is that on the N64. Everyone does not associate Banjo Kazooie with Microsoft. Never would we ever do that. They are Nintendo characters on Nintendo platform. That's where everyone remembers them from. And they were one of the last characters in Melee that should have maybe been included. Sakurai had it on his mind, and if he could make a Smash again, he would have included them, but obviously it's not as easy because of copyright. But Banjo Kazooie is who I believe is going to be, in the main game, the third-party represented fighter. Although, it really doesn't feel like it, because we got Simon, so I think Banjo is almost... It's almost a lock in my mind that Banjo is next. And I'm so happy, because I love Banjo. It's in my intro, after all, and if that intro had all the characters, obviously not Nico Bellic, but I think at this point, it almost has all the characters in Smash, which is crazy. Finally, the Pokemon rep. And here's my original theory. Because we're going down the villains route, you look at all the series in Smash Brothers, Pokemon doesn't really have a represented villain. You could argue Mewtwo, but really, Mewtwo's not really a villain. There was the movie, but I mean, you could play around with it, obviously. But Pokemon doesn't really have any rival trainers. Pokemon's whole appeal is that there are rival trainers, you fight other trainers. They're not villains per se, but there are rival trainers. So my idea was that we would have an Alolan trainer as the new Pokemon representative. It would feature Incineroar, Brionne, Brioche Buns, and Rowlet. Rowlet and Incineroar being two of the most popular characters of that generation. Rowlet being iconic, plushy, perfect for a Smash character that's just cute. I don't know how he'd function, but it would probably be really cute, really fun, and a lot of fans of the character would like it. Over Decidueye, I would argue. Decidueye is cool as hell, don't get me wrong, but Rowlet is way more iconic to that generation. Then Incineroar is just so fit for Smash. You could just throw that character in, throw it on as a Captain Falcon model swap, and it would be totally fitting. That's why I think it's probably likely that Incineroar gets in over Decidueye, so that's the one Pokemon thing I'm changing. It's based on leaks, and other people have talked to me. I've talked to other people, and they're like, you know what, Decidueye is cool, but Incineroar over, and I'm like, fair. That's a fair argument, and I'm kind of switching my opinion on it. I do think both. I wouldn't be surprised if Decidueye got in, or if Incineroar, if it was like swapped, you know what I mean? That said, that is where I stand. It would be cool if we got the trainer as a rival, because Pokemon doesn't really have that. Maybe you have maybe it's like Gary, I don't know. It would be cool. Although, not sure it would happen. Imagine we got a Team Rocket. That would be cool. That would be really cool if Sakurai was thinking back to the Pokemon anime, be like, we have to represent Pokemon how people remember it. That was one of the theories that's written here, but for simplicity's sake, I'm going to say Incineroar is a lock, and the rest of all of that theory, if some of it happens, I will be like, yay. Okay. Alright, that's it for new characters, and we're going on to Echo Fighters. Now, the way I think Echo Fighters are probably going to play out in this game is if you look at the ones that have been announced already, it's almost like equal to as many newcomers that have been announced. Equal to or more. So if we're going by that logic, maybe we can expect an equal amount of Echo Fighters, maybe less, maybe more, to new fighters. So at this point, I chose 8 characters just now. I added Shadow, but who else? I think Ken is an absolute lock. If any other series that's a third party deserves, or should have, another representative, it should be Street Fighter, because it's been a fighting game, it's developed the fighting game, and how else would you represent an Echo Fighter other than the first clone of a fighting game character there was? Arguable if that's true, but you know what I mean. Going with the villain's theme, Shadow Mario from Super Mario Sunshine. Going with the villain's theme, you'd have to maybe change Flood to do something else in a few animations so it suits, but Shadow Mario for the early 2000s after Sunshine had been represented in a couple of other games, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that including him as a clone would be easy. It'd be easy for sure, but it would also fit because they're doing this villain thing. Maybe on the Sunshine level you fight him and then it goes to Bowser Jr. and it's like, whoa, what the heckle? I know this might be random to some of you, but Nin10 would be a perfect conclusion to the Mother series. We already have Ness and Lucas from Mother 2, otherwise known as Earthbound, and Mother 3, because you can go suck my ass, it's not better than Earthbound. Earthbound, for all intents and purposes, is just a better version of Mother 1. So seeing Nin10 be in there, it would kind of just complete the series and kind of be a good hurrah to the Mother series in total. And he could just mix different parts of Lucas and Ness, because essentially what Ness is a mix of all the characters anyways. They're kind of a smorgasbord of what Mother is, so including Nin10 would just be another character. That would be fun, very niche, but there are people that really, really want him. Look, if Pit can have 2 of the similar characters, so can Olimar. Louis from Pikmin 2 was the original Olimar clone used as a second player, so you could have more unique puzzles for that game. Louis could work similar to Olimar, maybe utilize different Pikmin, maybe just have different normals, I don't know. But it would be a very easy Echo Fighter that would represent more of the Pikmin series. Maybe you could leave Alf as his costume, and maybe have Brittany as a costume for Louis. Black Shadow could function as a Ganondorf, Captain Falcon, Echo. An interesting idea, I know, but I think it could very well work. But maybe he'd function like Melee Ganondorf for all the people that like Melee Ganondorf, now that we have this Ocarina of Time Ganondorf that has his sword and he attacks differently than how we've ever known him. I think that Black Shadow could offer something very unique that Falcon doesn't have. Maybe Falcon's the fast version, Black Shadow's more that Ganondorf slow, powerful version, doing the same type of moves, just a little bit different. Now, an interesting little tidbit, I don't know who found it, but if you look on the Castle Siege map, compare it from Wii U, now compare it to Smash Ultimate screenshot, you're gonna notice that someone's missing. It's the Black Knight. I can see it happening because it would piss off everyone, adding another Fire Emblem character, which is something Sakurai is prone to do. And I can see it happening. Going back to the villain's theme, maybe you have a Fire Emblem level where you fight all the different lores and characters from Fire Emblem, but you're being held back by the Black Knights. Maybe they're attacking all at once, and it's sort of like, oh, we gotta save Robin, oh my god. And if you thought I was done, I'm not. I'm actually going to be predicting the first few DLC fighters that we're going to see in this game, starting off with Unlikely 1, Dixie Kong. People are like, no, Dixie's going to be for sure an Echo Fighter of Diddy, which is how I suspect it started, but then Sakurai's like, well, you can't just do the hair like that, you gotta make it its own character. And then further down the line, they're like, okay, let's make Dixie Kong her own character, but included as DLC. Now, why I think it's DLC also is because they just had K. Rool. I don't think they'll overshadow another DK character with another one. Maybe they'll keep it until later and announce some other characters. They wouldn't announce it all at once. So that's why I think Dixie's probably going to be a DLC fighter with her own trailer and a focus on her hair for attacking, because I don't think it's fair to just say she would attack like Diddy Kong. There's a lot more to her, and even in the game she does stuff different. She picks stuff up with her hair, for example. But if you thought Tails was a dumb idea, Kiddy Kong as an Echo Fighter of DK. This would fully wrap up the Donkey Kong Country characters, including all of the playable characters in all of the 3 games, the main villain of all 3 of the games, and it's also supported that King K. Rool, having all of his stuff from his different boss fights, could support that even further. So it would wrap up Donkey Kong Country and have the representation that everyone wants. Though I'm not sure everyone wanted Kiddy Kong. Everyone's kind of focused on Funky Kong, but they're really forgetting about the first DK clone in that 3rd game. Because, whoo! This one is pretty obvious. Rex and Pyra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The reason I didn't include them on the main roster is because they may have started development later into Smash cycle. Maybe the document for Smash was completed and they didn't have enough on Rex and Pyra to really make the Xenoblade character that you wanted. It is possible that they are in the game already, and Sakurai had thought them up well in advance and been like, okay, we're just gonna iteratively design them. It could be the case, but I don't think there is a way in hell that Rex and Pyra are not in this game, considering the success of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. At this point, it's very obvious, as well as the next fighter, Springman, or Ribbon Girl, if they do some sort of Echo Fighter with them. I totally see it happening with how Echo Fighters are being. It's like, prior to when we knew Echo Fighters, we were like, oh, we're gonna get Springman or Ribbon Girl, we have to choose, one can be a costume, but now they're just gonna make a clone and change it up. Like, now that there's Echo Fighters, it's like, oh, for sure they're gonna probably have, like, Ribbon Girl. Hands down, there's no way. So, that's why I believe Springman is more than likely to be in as a DLC fighter. We have statements from the team. They're like, oh, I don't know if they're gonna include it because, like, ARMS is such a new game. But they included goddamn Shovel Knight as an assist trophy? Like, I think for sure that they're just saying that as damage control and they don't want to represent, like, anything that isn't true. Maybe at that point Sakurai hadn't even asked, but that's all left in the air. The final character I think will be included in the first pack of DLC would be Crash Bandicoot. It's like the rival of Mario, but Sony's, but not really. But, like, you know, he's a platforming character, and out of everyone that's there, like, Crash is probably the next one up, I would say. Spyro, you could argue the Reignited trilogy is the reason he's gonna be in. Bomberman's already an assist trophy. Who else is there? Conker? I don't even know. Point being, I think Crash is the last one for the first batch of 3D platforming characters. He was the one that introduced it on the PlayStation and has his own unique style, which could be implemented into his moveset, which is why I think Crash is almost certainly a lock. Okay, that's my predictions. I don't even know how long did we go? It's a long video, but you know, it's here for you when you want to go say that I'm wrong. Very wrong. And I'm thankful you stuck all the way through, because I'm just doing this because I really wanted to. I wanted to get it out there. I did it as a Patreon post, but like I don't like reading stuff. If you're like me, I don't like reading stuff. I should have just done it originally as a video. So sorry, patrons. Next time I'll probably do those blog posts as a video, me talking similar to this. But, you know, we'll see. It's whatever works for you guys. I like doing the blog posts because it gets my ideas out, and they don't have to be really thought out super hard like a video. And posting this as a video lets me rethink some things, such as the Pokemon trainer thing, the rival trainer, you could say. But yeah, let me know what you think about my thoughts down below. They are pretty zany, like Tails, Kiddy Kong. Why would I think that? Why would that happen? Maybe it will. I actually am pretty confident in the Tails theory, because Shadow being there alone and no representation of Tails, it really doesn't make any sense to me. We haven't seen Tails at all either, and Dr. Eggman, it could just be that they don't include a Sonic world and Shadow's the Echo and that's the end of that, but I don't think so. Sonic is such a big franchise, and using every bit of it would just be like, it would be a playdate for Sakurai, I think. So, that is my thought on everything. If you want to go and contest it down below, or post your rosters down below, be my guest. And if you have any interesting topics... Can I speak today? I feel like I've messed up so many words, just missed the middle syllable. Sorry, you can count all the missed syllables I said in this video. I think I did it a lot because I am parched. So goodbye, everybody.